examples? Okay, so slide on down. Next one, this one just says x equals 4. If x equals 4, let's graph it first. So we put in 0 and 4, and x equals 4 is just a vertical line, correct? Yeah. And so then we just have to see, we don't really plug the points into y equals mx plus b because it's an x equals line. So what would my parallel line going through -5 and -6 be? So we just have to find, so here, let's graph that point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and, oh yes, it just barely fits in my graph. So -5 and -6. And then I just need a parallel line going through that same point, which would be x equals -5. So if you have a vertical or horizontal line in x equals, or just a plain y equals a straight number line, you just have to find your x value of the other point, and that becomes your equation. Alright, and on example 4, what do you think is the easiest way to solve that one?
Get y by
Solve
itself.
it to get our y equals mx plus b again. So we're going to subtract 3x to get 4y equals -3x plus 8. And when we divide, remember you have to divide everything by 4. So that divides, and we end up with y equals -3/4 x plus 2. And so let's go ahead and graph +2, -3, +4. And what's my next step? And then plug in my points. So my x and y to solve for the parallel line now. So 7 equals -3/4 times -4 plus b. And they gave us an easy one. What's -3/4 times -4? +3. 7 equals 3 plus b. And 4 equals b. So my parallel line equation is y equals -3/4 x plus 4. And then I graph it to make sure yeah, the slope is negative, so I come down 3, forward 4. Okay, so when you have all of that, flip to the next page, last page of notes for this packet. Well, your voices are probably getting picked up on the recording. Can I flip my page yet? Alright, what's different about this last page? Perpendicular. So what type of slope do we need for perpendicular?
Reciprocal, opposite.
Opposite reciprocal. So what's the new slope going to be in number 5? -1/2. And so I plug my points in to get 2 equals -1/2 times 2 plus b. And then I solve for b. So what does b equal?
Wait. On number, wait, the 2 that you multiply times -1/2 should be negative.
Yeah, -1. Did I do it right?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's negative
It
2
should
times
be positive 1.
No. You only got
Oh, you're right. I should have written that -2, right? Okay. So, you have no idea? Okay. So, are you guys with me on the why I have -1/2?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to find perpendicular, so I take this slope and flip it, make a negative. Okay? So 3 is from my original equation, so let's go ahead and graph that. So 3, and then a positive 2 slope. And then to find my second equation, I had to plug in my x and y to get, I have to plug in the x and y with the new slope into y equals mx plus b. You guys see that?
So y equals -1/2.
Mm-hmm. So then I went ahead and multiplied -1/2 times -2 gives me +1. Subtract 1 to get 1 equals b. And so y equals -1/2 x plus 1. You with me now? Most of you. Okay, and then we'll graph it. So +1, and now I go down 1/2 and graph it. Does that look like a perpendicular line? Yeah. So graphing lets us check. Could I draw my little right angle square in the corner? Okay. Question 6 is just x equals 8. Okay, so we have 2 options. We could choose to use the graph counting by 2, or we could draw an extra part of the graph. Counting by 2? Okay. Well, we're trying to graph x equals 8. And so, if I'm counting by 2, my second point might be a little bit hard to graph. So, okay. So we'll do a scale of 2, 4, 6, 8. And so then this is going to be my x equals 8 line. And then for my next one to be 3, so I go halfway in between my 2 and my 4, go to -1. And for it to be perpendicular, which way does my line go? Mm-hmm. So perpendicular means it's going to come this way, which means it hits y equals -1. So when we had the horizontal and vertical lines, if it's parallel, it's exactly the same. If it's vertical, it's the other variable. All right, who thinks that you could do 7 and 8 on your own? Such confidence. Okay, let's take like 3 minutes, see how far you can get on your own, then we'll come back over it. 7 and 8. See how far you. All right. So what answer did you get? Those of you who solved it, what final answer did you get for 7? So you got y equals 2x plus 5.
Yes.
Everyone concur? Mm-hmm. So this one I'm just going to show for those of you who like point slope better. Because it's already set up this way, it's really easy to just plug in. Recognize our new slope is going to be +2 instead of -1/2. And I can just plug in y minus -3, so y plus 3, equals 2, and then x minus -4, so x plus 4. This one is set up that way. I didn't really even have to solve that first one. I do have to graph it. I have to solve it, but if it didn't ask us to graph it, I could just plug in the points. And sometimes they'll ask for your answer that way. Sometimes you go ahead and distribute and solve and come up with y equals 2x plus 5. Do you guys want me to show the solve steps?
No.
We're good on that one. Or you could have plugged it into the y equals mx plus b if you like it that way. I'm just showing it this way because some people do like that formula better, especially when it's originally set up that way. All right, second one. How many people got the answer to the second one? All right, what'd you get? Let's have Caleb.
Y equals 1
What is it talking to you?
Oh, did you get the same thing? Yep. Okay. So, and I'll go through the steps for those of you who didn't get to that one. So our first step was to solve the first equation for y so that I can tell what the slope is. So I'm minus 4x to get y equals negative 4x plus 5. I can go ahead and graph that one just so I can check with the graph. And then negative 4, boys, one talker. And then I just plug my points in. Oh, I don't even have to plug the points in here. Did it label the y-intercept for me? Yeah. If I have a point of 0, 5, those are, oh, that's the same point, 0, 5, and then I just have to count out my new slope, which is 1 and 4. No, it's this way. Isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that one is easy. I just recognize that's my y-intercept. I don't even have to solve. Well, I had to solve to find my original slope. That's all. Okay. How many of you finished your homework from last class, which is that proofs worksheet? Okay, can y'all pull it out? Okay, so here we started with our given. 2 hasn't shown up yet, so we come see it from the drawing. They're vertical angles. 2 and 3 are corresponding angles because I know the lines are parallel. And then 1 and 3 we can then take transitive. Did anyone get a different answer from 1 and 3? For 1 and 3? Yeah. This is actually one of those, it could be 2 correct answers. Because we already know that they are parallel, we could just say they're alternate exterior angles. It could have been a one-step proof, but they wanted us to go through the logic of all of them. On the quiz, we made sure there weren't any that could have 2 possible answers like that. All right, then on number 3, so we're given that P is parallel to T, and therefore 1 and 2 are alternate exterior angles. We're given that this is parallel, and therefore 2 and 3 are corresponding angles. And then this time we have to use transitive because 1 and 3 are not on the same transversal, so they aren't any angle pair that we've used. So I talked through that real quickly. Are there any questions on that one?
Is L spin on?
This is the angle symbol. Yeah. I know, it does look like L. Alright, ready for 4? Okay, so we're given that G and H are parallel. And so 1 and 3 didn't come from our given, so we look at our drawing, and if those are parallel, sometimes it helps people to turn it sideways and make sure, and like look at it this way, but 1 and 3 are the corresponding angles, if this is my transversal. We're given that 1 is congruent to 2, and so 2 and 3 is just our transitive. Can anyone tell me why I couldn't say on step 4, why I couldn't say that 2 and 3 are alternate exterior?
Does it say that P and R are parallel?
Yeah, because we don't know yet that P and R are parallel, and so we can't know that alternate exterior angles equal each other if we don't know it's parallel. So we have to do transitive first and then do this. Did we do this one as a class last time?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why you all know it. Good for you. Okay.
You did 6.
And we did 6 together also. Okay. So 5, we start out with supplementary and then we define it. Then we have some vertical angles. 2 and 3 are vertical. And then definition of congruent, so if you don't know yet, just remember if only the sign and the symbols change, it's just congruent. And then we substitute in just angle 2 for angle 3. Can anyone tell me why that was substitution, not transitive?
Oh, because
It's because I just changed one
Yeah.
thing, right? I just
Yeah.
changed angle 3 for angle 2 because I know they equal each other. And then I just define supplementary because our theorem has to go from supplementary to parallel lines. That's what our theorem is, so I had to define it for supplementary again. And then their same side interior angles. All right, we went over 6 together last time, so just double check. Is there anything you didn't understand there? Do you want me to talk through it again?
No.
No? Are you ready for 9? Alright, so 9 is a kind of different looking picture if it helps you just imagine all these lines continuing. I'm pretty sure this is one of the pictures we used for the quiz. So if it helps you, you can draw it like that. So we know that AD and BC are parallel, so I'm going to draw my parallel symbols there, continue the lines out. And so that means that I know 3 and 2 are alternate interior angles, and they are congruent. I'm given bisects. Anytime I have a word, I'm going to define it. So definition of bisects is that these 2 angles are exactly the same. And then I can use my transitive. And then I need angle 4 in my answer, so my next one, 4 came from the vertical angles 2 and 4. And then again, I have another transitive. Is it making sense? So I'm labeling whatever I can for each step. I'm just saying, did that come from the drawing, or did it come from what is right before it? And then I use transitive to get it to the statement that I need. Alright, and then last one is RV is parallel to TS. And 1 is congruent to 2. So I have a given. Given means I have the corresponding angles. 3 is congruent to 4. 1 is congruent to 4 by vertical angles, and then I can transfer to show that 1 is congruent to 3. Then I have my next given, and I can transfer 3 and 2 together, and then it lets me know that they are parallel by alternate interior angles. Yes?
I have a corresponding for my second. I think I asked you about it.
Okay, so let's see. 2 and 3. That should be, because we're trying to prove that these lines are parallel, that would be the alternate interior. Corresponding would have been like the 3 and 4 on the other ones. So just correct it. Yes.
What makes it converse?
Converse is anytime we know the angles are congruent and then we go to parallel lines. On the quiz, we're actually using the same answer choice for converse or regular just because we didn't want to give you a humongous sheet of paper with 20 reasons.
Quiz on breadcrumb.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to review just the warm-up real quickly. What hopefully you did in your packet is we take our parallel line and keep the slope the same and recognize our new y-intercept is +2. Here is perpendicular, so we took the opposite reciprocal slope and followed this line. So, okay, it's 0, 1 is our y-intercept. Here we had to count out our y-intercept and recognize that this is -4, that one's -3, and it's parallel, so same slope. This one was perpendicular again, so opposite reciprocal, our y-intercept is at +1. On here, our y-intercept is labeled for us at -2, parallel means same slope, and our opposite reciprocal slope, and our y-intercept here was down at -2. And then for the first section of our notes, just remember parallel lines always have the same slope, perpendicular lines are opposite reciprocal. So positive 1/2 would go to -2/1, which then we would label as -2. And these you can use either the y equals mx plus b, or some people like the point slope formula, which is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. And so you just take, all of this page says parallel lines, so we just take the same slope and then we plug our new points into our y equals mx plus b, or you could plug it into point slope formula, and then you solve out, find b. Or if you plugged it into here, you just solve out to get y by itself. And so we plugged them in, solve to get b equals -4, and then that's our answer. Here we plugged, first we distributed so we could figure out what the slope was. If you like point slope formula, you could just plug them in, and we take points 0 and 6, so do y minus 0 equals -2 x minus 6, and then we would just distribute and get the same y equals -2x plus 12, or you can plug these in and solve to get b equals 12 and then plug it back in. It's just your preference. So that is lesson, so go ahead and work on your assignment now.